Shalom חברים וברוכים הבאים to another exciting episode of Pninei Torah. Every week I tell you this is my most favorite Torah portion, but this week there is a double simcha. For those of you who read the Return of the Kosher Pig knows that I've been working on now a second volume for the Return of the Kosher Pig. The title will be announced soon among the details for the release of the book. But today in Parashat Yitro, the giving of the Torah, I'm thrilled to bring a teaching to you from the new book, kind of a sneak peek preview from the new book. And I'm excited about this. And I'm excited about it because it's the Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah, Exodus chapter 20. Often people ask the question, is the Torah truly freedom or bondage? I would like to take a stab at this question today through the light of this Torah portion. And it's important as we study the Torah not to look at the Torah event, what took place at Mount Sinai. I want to try to change and challenge the way you think about this. Not to look at what took place on Mount Sinai as isolated incidents, but rather to look at Mount Sinai as a chain of events. Okay, what I mean a chain of events? I mean events in Jewish history that have a purpose. And one of the links in it is Mount Sinai. But if one wants to understand Mount Sinai, perhaps some of the question that arise from Mount Sinai is why God decided to give 10 words, 10 commandments, the 10 words. They call Seret HaDibrot, the 10 words. Why 10? Why not 11? Why 15? In order to understand this question as an example, we have to look at Mount Sinai in a lens of a chain of events in human history, okay? To understand this question and understand what took place in Mount Sinai and what truly the giving of the law is truly all about, we actually have to turn for a moment. I would like to take you here. I have a copy of Pirkei Avot, the Ethics of the Fathers. It's a tractate in the Talmud. And to answer this question, I want to take you and challenge you to think about what took place on Mount Sinai in a context of the creation, the story of creation. Look with me for a moment what it says, and I put it to you in English so you can follow it with me. It says, it started in Hebrew with what? Ba'asara ma'amarot nivra ha'olam. In 10 utterances, the world was created. Let's read Ethics of the Fathers, chapter 5, verse 1 together. It says the following. The world was created with 10 utterances. What does this come to teach us? Certainly, it could have been created with a single utterance. However, this is in order to make the wicked accountable for destroying a world that was created with 10 utterances, and reward the tzaddikim for sustaining a world that was created with 10 utterances. There were 10 generations from Adam to Noach. This is to teach us the extent of God's tolerance for all this generation angered him until he brought upon the waters of the flood. There were also 10 generations from Noach to Abraham. This is also to teach us the extent of God's tolerance. For all this generation angered him until Abraham came and reaped the reward for them all. And continue verse 3, it says, with 10 tests, our father Abraham was tested, and he withstood them all in order to make known how great was our father Abraham's love for God. 10 miracles were performed for our forefathers in Egypt. And our 10 at the sea, 10 afflictions were brought by God upon the Egyptians in Egypt, and another 10 at the seas. With 10 tests, our forefather tested God in the desert. And it is stated, they tested me these 10 times and did not hearken to my voice. We need to understand that what took place in Mount Sinai is in its essence a play of what already took place. God recreating the scene on Mount Sinai of what has happened before. And what's happened before, it is the story of creation. When God created the world, He created it in 10 utterances. In essence, what He is doing in Mount Sinai, He is trying to reestablish and recreate the world and bring the world back to its original condition. That's what's taking place in Mount Sinai. It's important for us to understand Mount Sinai is not just giving the law, but it's something much more significant than that. God restoring the world back to its original condition. And a matter of fact, part of this restoration of the world to its original condition, it's restoration of mankind back to its original condition. So you want to know what truly the giving of the Torah is about? Write yourself this: Torah equal restoration. If one observes Torah, he is going to be restored, because that was the essence of the Torah, to restore us back to our original condition. And what is the original condition? The story of creation before the sin of Adam. That's why God continued to use this number 10 and 10 and 10, because He wants to restore the world back to its original condition. Okay? And in essence, it's a picture of a marriage where He wed humankind, okay? Mankind, He is wed Adam, and Adam forsake Him. And then later on, He tried to wed all of human race before the flood, and human race betrayed Him. He tried to do it to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and human race betrayed Him. Ultimately, He selected a group of people called the Jewish people that are out of their acceptance of God, marriage with God, they will bring salvation to all humanity. That was the plan of what took place in Mount Sinai. I want you to pay attention for a moment for the language in the Torah portion this Shabbat. It says the following: Atem raitem, you have seen, God says, what I did to the Mitzrim, what I did to the Egyptian, and how I bore you on eagle wings and brought you unto myself. I want you to pay attention to the language for a moment before we move to the next verse. And brought you unto myself. Ve'eveh etchem elai. It's a language that is equivalent to a marriage of a man who is taking his bride and bring the bride to him. This is a picture of a wedding that was supposed to be taking place in the garden that somehow got nullified. And that is for another time to discuss what took place in the garden. But also He's trying to reinstitute the marriage between human race and Him in Himself. And He continues in verse 5 and He says, now therefore, if you will listen unto my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, my brit, then you shall be mine own treasure from among all people, for all the earth is mine. He uses here in Hebrew the term zgula mikol ha'amim. In essence, he said, if you're going to do A, I am going to marry you. Now, I need to explain to you what has taken place in Mount Sinai and how it is applied not just to us today, but what truly has taken place. Now, in his book, Rabbi Horowitz, very famous book, titled Shnei Luchot Abrit, okay, he explained that what took place in Mount Sinai is an event to bring Israel into wedding with God. Okay? And he says this. He says, he compared what took place to Mount Sinai. He says this. The results of such union, he gives this example of the Ish and Isha. Ish is a man, Isha is a woman. He says, those names contain one half of the infallible name, Ish and Isha. In essence, Ish and Isha, if I show you the name of God, okay, if you want to split it, God's name is Yud, Hey, Vav, A. And the consummation between Ish and Isha is, or the marriage between Ish and Isha is similar to the two parts of God's name, the Yud, Hey, and the Vav, A. And the rabbi actually continue and he say, this is why the Torah says, Ahadam yada et Chava ishto, which means that Adam knew his wife Eve. It's a picture of the intimate knowledge of Adam and Chava and their unification. And in essence, what they say, this unification of Adam and Eve is a similar unification for the unification between Israel and God and his plan for Mount Sinai. Mount Sinai is not about giving a Torah. It's ultimately about the unification of God with the Jewish people. And he continued to explain this, the rabbi, and he says the following: just as the emanation, and I will explain it to you in a second, the term emanation, Yesod is the link between junior emanation, Tiferet, which means Tiferet, glory. It's not glory, Tiferet. Let me think about the word Tiferet for a moment, how to translate it to you, and Malchut, the kingdom, through the covenant of circumcision. So the keter, the crown, represent the link between the senior emanation to Chokhmah and Binah. That's where we get the name, the Chabad, the Chokhmah and Binah and the keter, to the inseparable bond between God's Torah and Israel that is forged in his manner. Okay? Here is what he explained. Let me show you a picture for a moment. In Judaism, in Jewish mysticism, we accept the notion that God has what's called emanation, that is Hebrew called partsufim, faces. Those are representative faces of God. Now notice there is a bracket that kind of bucketizes the 6 faces from below, and those are what's called the junior faces, and the 3 faces from above, those are the seniors. You have in the middle one the keter, the crown, the binah, which is the son of God, and you have the chokhmah that represent the spirit of God. In essence, what the rabbi explaining here, that this connection, I want you to show this picture again, this connection between the lower emanation and the higher emanations is a picture of that represents at the end of the day a prophetic picture of the inseparable bond between God, people, and God himself. He continues, he said, concerning the inseparable bond, the Torah says in Exodus chapter 19, verse 15, prior to the revelation of Mount Sinai. Pay attention to this word. It says, and you will be my own treasure. It says, you will be the own treasure. The word in Hebrew for treasure is the word segula. Segula. From the word sagol. By the way, so word sagol in Hebrew means also parapel. Parapel is a sign of the king, okay? But it says this, he says the rabbi, the word sagol is comprised of 3 sounds. What's in sorry? Samech, Gimel, Lamed. They make 3 distinct sounds. 3 times the letter. There's 3 times the letter Yod. Let's go to the next slide. Notice 3 times the letter Yod. Vayihitem li segula. Okay? Notice how many times the letter Yod is mentioned. 1, 2, 3. In the term, you will become my treasured possession. The letter Yod mentioned 3 times. And why this is important? Because it represents the connection between the heavenly emanation, the 3 names, right? The 3 heavenly names, the crown, the Son of God, and the Spirit, 3. And the lower emanation will represent Israel. In essence, the Torah is the connection between the 3 heavenly faces of God to the lower junior faces of God. That's what is the Torah goal is. It's almost a goal of connecting the heavenly and the earth. That's why God says, when you become my people, you will be able to soar on eagle wings. Why eagle wings? Because it's heavenly. What's the meaning of this? That where we are there, we have the vision of the Keter, of the crown, and the Son of God, and the wisdom. All of those things, we get the vision, and that's why the Yod appeared 3 times. It's represented 3 heavenly faces of God. Christians call it the Trinity. Jewish people call it the 3 heavenly emanations of God. And through Torah, one can have the vision for those 3 heavenly emanations of God. As a matter of fact, in the Zohar, this day where we receive the 3 emanations of God, the day of wedding, described as such. It says, the event of Shavuot and the giving of the Torah has been mistaken by many to simply the giving of the Torah, the giving of the law. But it is much more than that. It represents God Ketuvah that was nullified in the garden by Adam's sin. That night is also known, Shavuot, the giving of the Torah, is also known the name Belayla Dekala, on the night of the bride. Please understand, Chaverim, that the Torah, the event of giving of the Torah is not just the event of Moses going up and coming out with tablets. Its event represents the wedding night of the bride, okay? It's the perfect night. And who is the one who recreating the perfect night? It is the groom. And who is the groom? The groom is God Almighty himself. And he's representing this so that Israel will experience the 3 Yods, the 3 heavenly emanations. People think sometimes that the Torah is to lead people away from God, away from experience God, where the Torah was given for the exact opposite reason, for the reason of leading people straight into the 3 heavenly emanation of the mighty one of Israel. As a matter of fact, we see in the conclusion of the story something interesting later on. In Exodus chapter 32, we see this, and it says, and the luchot and the tablets were the work of God. And the writing was the writing of God, graven upon the tab. Now notice here the word in Hebrew to graven. Let's look at the next slide. The word in Hebrew for graven is the word lachrot. It's come from the word charita, charut, okay? Lichrot is engraved. But the Torah does not use the word engraved. It's used the other Hebrew word. It's used the word cherut, okay? Which is very, very interesting. The word cherut in Hebrew means actually freedom. God gave this wedding night to Israel so that Israel will not just engrave something, but that Israel truly experience the freedom. A freedom to what, you might ask? A freedom to be the bride that the groom needed to have and expected to have, okay? The reason that Israel needed a Messiah to begin with is due to the epic failure that rejected the cherut. Israel rejected it when the golden calf has occurred. The rabbis told us that if we didn't reject if we didn't do the golden calf, then none of the rest of the Bible was even given it to us. There would not be a need, because everything has been fully restored. So God has given us Torah as cherut, so it can be written upon our hearts. Please understand it. The Torah is not a law. The Torah represents a marriage. And a marriage specifically, and again, let's look at one more time in Exodus 32:16. It says, Elohim hu charut ala luchot. The word charut there, it's the word freedom. God has given us the law so that we will be free to be once again His truly unique bride. What is the application for us today here? The application for us today, just as the name of God, Yud Hey, Vav Hey, is made up of two different names, is that we want to join ourselves into this wedding night. And what does it mean for us to be able to join ourselves into this wedding night? Is to have the desire to have our heart engraved and written upon the law and the Torah of Messiah. In essence, you have to ask yourself a question. As you receive the law of Moses, as you practice the law of Moses, Torah Moshe, do you live your life in freedom from your flesh? If you answer the question no, then you don't practice the law of Moses. You practice another law. But if you practice the law of Moses properly, you will have a freedom from your flesh to live according to the Spirit. You will be able to break any bondages in your life, because that's the original design of the law of Moses. Now here's where it's become interesting. We rejected the law of Moses. Israel rejected the law of Moses. But one like Moses has came, and to ensure that you will not mistakenly reject this free offer again to be wed to the mighty one of Israel, he said, those who accept me, I will live in them. I will be the temple inside of them. So today I want to remind you today that the one who is greater in the temple, Yeshua Mashiach, is living in us. And if He is truly living in us, not only that His Torah will come to life, but the Torah of Moses will come to life, and all Torah, all instruction will become freedom and not bondage. I pray upon all of you that this will be a season of wedding that will lead to your freedom and not bondage. להתראות ושבת שלום.